Hey everyone, welcome back to the It's a Mind Game podcast. My name is Jade. I'm a mindset coach and personal trainer specializing in HA and ED recovery. And today I'm joined by my super best friend, partner in crime, and of course, the best that there is, Claudia, who is a nutritionist specializing in HA and fertility. That was a mouthful. I'm so excited though. Welcome.
What an introduction. I'm back.
I didn't think I took a breath. I'm puffed. You are back. No, I'm always super pumped for our chats because we get into the nitty gritties and we sort of talk about our experiences versus what our ladies are going through in the HA community. And it's a beautiful, beautiful blend. But today's quite a juicy topic because we wanted to discuss what it means for HA to be over. This is sort of something we experienced firsthand when we were transitioning out of, I guess, HA territory. And a question that comes up a lot with our ladies who have recovered, and it's like, well, when can I drop the identity, I guess, because there's some power, I guess, that comes from going, okay, I have HA, I'm going to take responsibility for it and make changes. But then once we're healed, we don't need to keep carrying this weight anymore. Like, we've done the work. When you're thinking about that question, when HA is over, what does it mean to you?
That's a very interesting question. And I think that HA can actually become an identity for someone that is losing their previous identity and is seeking for some certainty. So having hypothalamic amenorrhea is a state of being. So also letting that one go can be quite tricky for some women. But from my experience, women don't have hypothalamic amenorrhea anymore after they actually get the first period back, because literally that's when they don't have HA any longer. That's when the blood test results come back and FSH and LH and estrogen, they are within the range of a woman with a natural menstruation, with natural periods. So if I go by science, let's say HA is over once the period comes back. But obviously there are different layers that we're going to discuss today. What does that mean for you? When do you think that HA is over for you?
The answer is not sexy, but we'll explore it anyway. I think it's once we've come to terms with the fact that we can act intuitively and trust we're supporting our body, because identity is super helpful when it comes to going, okay, I've got HA and here's what I need to do to recover from it. But I also think an identity like that can show as a disadvantage when you can sometimes almost claim like a victim mentality to it. Like, I have HA, so I can't do this, or I can't do this, or my lifestyle's so different because I'm in this. And it's knowing how to use the identity to help you move forward. But I think it's also knowing when to drop it and go, that was actually a chapter of my life that I've closed and now I'm healthy. And for me, that transition was interesting because you kind of have to learn as you go. But for the most part, if I was to describe what it feels like to have HA over, it would be trusting that your period's going to show up with an exercise routine that you are happy about and you enjoy. It is being able to make nutritional choices that complement your body, and you don't have anxiety around food. So I think a trend we often see with women is perhaps when they start seeing us, the anxiety around food is food fears and avoiding carbohydrates or meal timing. I just want to fast. But throughout the HA recovery process, the anxiety can sometimes turn into, now I'm afraid if I skip a meal, I'm going to wreck everything. Or I'm afraid if I only have protein instead of protein, carbs, and fats, I'm going to, my body's going to not cope and I'm going to lose my period again. And we can switch from one form of anxiety around food to another, which isn't that helpful. So for me, HA being over is going, you know what, I'm confident to make food choices. If I happen to miss a snack because I'm out and about living my life, no big deal, right? I'm just going to eat as soon as I'm near my lunch. Or the flexibility comes back. And I know that's such a long-winded answer. I'm so sorry. But I feel like there's a structure that comes with the recovery identity. And then when we're closing that chapter and we're healed, it's very much actually tuning in and going, I trust myself now. I trust I can look after my body. I trust I can feed it well. I trust I can rest. And when you reach that, you can drop the identity because it's not really valid anymore.
On a personal level, I fully agree with what you just shared. For me, it was really trust and flexibility, trusting that my period was going to come no matter what, and having the flexibility to choose what I wanted to do. So, for example, now I know that I can be anxious or stressed out for an extended period of time, and my period will still have and my body will still have the energy to make my period come. And there is also the flexibility of being out and about and getting an extra glass of wine or an extra cup of coffee, which is most likely to happen in my situation, and still knowing that my period is not only is going to come, but it's going to come within that 28 to 35 days window, and it's going to be pain-free, and it's not going to cause any trouble, let's say. So it took me a long time to actually get to that place of safety and trust, because I got my period back. But I think that it took me approximately 6 months to completely let go of the HA identity, because for the first 6 months after getting my period back, I was really careful about my meal intake. So I wanted to make sure to have the 3 meals plus the 3 snacks, and always making sure that I had enough carbs and proteins and fat with every single meal, which doesn't happen any longer. Sometimes, because I eat intuitively, it's very normal to feel like having a carb-loaded meal on a specific occasion, and then having a protein-loaded meal on a different occasion. And at the same time, it was also trusting that I could go back to exercising. And mind you, I've never went back to running, which was my favorite way of exercise before starting the HA recovery journey. So I've never gone back to running. Well, because I, as you know, as everyone knows by now, I have a problem with my legs. So possibly I will never run again, but also because it didn't feel right for my body. I didn't want to put my body through the same challenges over and over again. And also I found a different way of exercising that really suits my level of energy and suits my lifestyle much better. And most of the time, my way of exercise could be your warm-up, but suits me fine. I don't need to overextend myself any longer. I am in that phase of life where I have my own business. I have 2 small kiddos. I'm still not sleeping well at nighttime, thanks to my little angels. So exercising is not my top priority. And if it is for someone, that's absolutely fine, but it's not my way of getting out of my current situation. And I rather prefer spending time sitting down, reading a book, being in nature, catching up with the friends, and once again, going for the second coffee. I do apologize for the long-winded answer, by the way, as well.
No, you brought up so many beautiful things, actually, and I'm glad you did, because something as simple as having the second coffee and not being like, oh my gosh, my adrenals are going to be overloaded now, and the panic. So, even though we started on the food front, I think those little things are really important, because if you're anyone like Claudia and I, is that we love coffee in, I think, more of like a ritual way than what it is like, I need my caffeine hit so I can survive, which is perhaps 100%. What it was to us back in the day. It could be that morning coffee to just start the morning with just a few moments to yourself, or if it's like I'm looking at my window at the moment and it's so beautiful and sunny, and while mine will be decaf at this point in time, I'm actually really looking forward to going for a walk outside and just grabbing a takeaway coffee, because it feels uplifting on the kind of day that it is today. But if I wasn't pregnant and I was going to get an actual caffeinated coffee, I wouldn't be having that panic of, oh crap, like it's too much caffeine and my body's not going to handle it, and all of that's gone. An interesting timeline that happened to me when I was dropping my HA recovery identity was I kind of had to wait a little bit longer to do it, because I got my period back. I had 3 cycles in 4 months, but then I was pregnant, so I lost my period again, obviously for all of the right reasons. But pregnancy is just a completely different ballgame when it comes to nutrition. And I've said this many times on the podcast, but I feel like pregnancy with the hunger cues, and I felt so in tune with what my body wanted. Like if I wanted carbs, I wanted carbs. If I wanted protein, I really wanted protein. If I like, and it was very quick and easy. There was no ED stuff kicking in, being like, are you sure you should? There was none of it. So pregnancy kind of gave me a little shutdown reboot on the nutrition front, where I felt free to make choices outside of, let's say, HA compliance, because it was so strong. But then all of a sudden I've had Casima, and my body wasn't giving me those same kind of cues. Like I was definitely getting hungry, not hungry, but they weren't so intuitive, let's say. And then I found myself going, oh, wow, what does this mean for me? Because I breastfed for 14 months and obviously no period for that time. So I found myself kind of holding on to some part of that HI identity because I didn't have the reassurance of my period coming.
Yeah.
So I felt like the identity dragged on like a really long time. And then finally I got my period back after breastfeeding. And it was I'm going to say it was a good 6 months before I could actually just really, really be at peace, to the point where, like you said, if it's not a perfectly balanced meal, everything's fine. If you're having 2 coffees, no big deal. On the training front, if I did some really, really hard sessions, there was no like, oh gosh, you've really stuffed this one up, or or some guilt of should you have done that? Maybe you shouldn't, your body can't cope. I was able to just choose how to train based on how my body was feeling, and my period show up and I'd give myself a pat on the back of, see, you can trust yourself. Did you find that in that process of dropping the HI identity, there was a little bit of that, I'm going to say trial and error, because it feels like we can make a mistake at any time. So we kind of feel like we're a little bit fragile when we're not. By the time we get our period back, like our body's pretty solid. We've still got to care for it, but we're not as fragile as perhaps we needed to believe when we were trying to get our period back, because there's so much intention. Go slow, enjoy your meal, because we're so fired up all the time that the only way to actually like take HA seriously is to really enhance these behaviors so we can just chill out. Did you find that you would behave a particular way, make particular choices, and in a period come and you kind of go, oh, okay, well, you know what? I was so stressed out this week, like, and I didn't sleep and I didn't think it was going to come, and it come on time, or maybe it was a day late, but everything's okay. And then the next month, perhaps there was a few little bumps in the road, because life does have bumps in the road. But then your period come and you go, oh, okay, well, that's good. And did your confidence sort of build with the reoccurring periods?
100%, because obviously once you see the first period, you're excited. But as it happens to most of our clients, you're already wondering, is period number 2 going to come?
And as soon as the first day's over.
Absolutely. And yeah, even after you see the first drop of blood, we had clients that have been waiting for that moment for the longest time, even for 10 years. Yeah. And as soon as they saw the blood in their undies, they couldn't even celebrate because they were worried about period number 2. Or I had this beautiful woman that she came to me because she wanted to get the period back. She got the second one today, and her message was so disheartened because she's not pregnant already, even though she hasn't had a period for 7 years. So as women, we are so harsh. Thank you. Exactly the word that I wanted to use, because we don't bring really that much self-compassion into this journey, which is something that we always invite women to do, to bring in some grace and self-compassion in what we do, HA recovery or not. To me, it came with lots of awareness, lots of curiosity. I learned how to become my own private investigator, and I started to look at cues without judgment. And that's something that I learned back in the past, but I'm still doing nowadays. So for example, there was a moment over the weekend where I went for the second cup of coffee, and I didn't have any guilt. I didn't put any judgment into it, but I remember thinking, why am I going for the second cup of coffee? Because lately I've done a really great job to enjoy just one, which is never before breakfast, is never in conjunction with training. I'm still sticking to the core foundations of HA recovery because they work best with my body and my current level of energy. And if I start having a coffee when I wake up and I see my first clients, which is 4 o'clock in the morning, I will be having like 4 coffees by the end of the working day. So I'm very mindful to just enjoy one. But then on the weekend, as I mentioned, it happened that I wanted to have 2. So instead of having the mentality of, see, now I'm working against my body, and then maybe my period is not going to come back, and why am I doing this? I actually look at the situation with self-compassion, and I ask myself, what do I really need? What is going on? Because going for a second coffee meant that I really needed something the caffeine clearly couldn't give me after 2 minutes. So it was more of a work on understanding how else I could support my body. So I don't know if I properly answer your questions, but yeah, definitely it took me a long time to regain that trust. And I invite everyone to look at their life with lots of curiosity and compassion. We tend to judge ourselves so harshly as women, and we tend to do so many things at the same time. And if we don't see results within 3 months or 6 months, we just feel like shit. But instead, if we work with our body, if we work with our feelings, instead of judging them all the time, that's when life really happens. But do you resonate with this, Jade?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you brought to the forefront the deeper meaning behind perhaps a unique or different choice that we're making outside of what our predictable choices are. Like, let's say the 1 coffee to 2 coffees, or perhaps if it's the way of you realize that you've missed a snack and you kind of panic. It's like, well, what's the reason you missed the snack? Is it because you're in a work meeting and you physically can't eat? Is it because you're at the beach and you're just having so much fun in the water and in the sun that just food wasn't a thing? Or is it because you perhaps weighed yourself and you're like, oh, I might skip that snack today? Like, what's actually presenting itself for you? Because that can mean so many things. And I love that you bring that detective front, because if you go back and look at a behavior and go, oh gosh, I'm not so sure about that, if you dive deeper into it, you can actually either get confidence to keep doing what you're doing, or you can go, oh, hang on, perhaps I need to make some adjustments, or perhaps I need to work on my mindset a little bit. Because if it's I'm at the beach, I'm having a great time, just snacks weren't on my mind, I'd say good on you, you're enjoying life, right? Because you're out in the sun, you're in the water, perhaps with family and friends. And sometimes when you're having the best time, food is just not the top of your list. It's a very common thing. And when you get hungry enough, go have your snack. Like, it's okay. But if you're kind of going, oh, I'm a bit hungry, and then you go, oh, look, but I am just about to jump into a work meeting, I better wait. There's a difference in that, because you've had the opportunity to quickly have an apple or protein bar or whatever, and then you've gone, oh no, it's actually a better choice for me to wait. So I think the secret to unlocking that intuitive self is not purely going by, am I hitting my breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, but instead going, if there's variation in something, is it for all the right reasons, or is it for a reason where perhaps my mindset's having a bit of a whiplash effect? Because I think that's really important for women to know. If you've been practicing a particular thought process for 4, 5, 6 years, you can go through HA recovery and really drill in these new thoughts, behaviors, intentions. But if you're having a kind of a nothing day and you're releasing the reins, it's very easy to slip back into old thoughts because we've rehearsed them so much more. And really, if you want to stay on top of the mindset, it is being that detective and going, well, is this an innocent decision? Or is it my old self kicking back in? Because you know what? My old self doesn't really serve me that well. So tomorrow, I'm going to do the same thing and kind of look a bit more inward if a behavior is different. Or you might find it's a one-off and that's it. You just let it go, right? Like, it's okay to let it go.
I received a message yesterday from one woman that is part of the HA community, and she told me, I feel fat today. No, I am fat. And someone has made a comment about it. And we started unpacking that, because as you said, there is so much more than actually the feeling and the thoughts around it. Yeah. And my question was, why are you feeling this way? First of all, just detach yourself from the I am statement. But let's look at the feeling, what's behind it. Because if we have been following the same thought process, as you beautifully said, for so many years, as soon as we hit a roadblock, or we feel uncertain, or we are challenged, or we are sleep deprived, or extremely anxious or nervous, it's really easy to slip back to that old thought process. So instead of saying, I feel anxious because my work colleague has not treated me nicely, it's so much easier to say, I am fat today. Yeah. Because it's also something
so well rehearsed.
Well
we know it like
rehearsed,
the back of
we
our
can
hands.
control it.
Yeah.
We can control it, we can do something about it. But instead, if you actually pause for a second and look at what has been going on for you, and just start thinking, okay, what am I really feeling, and what am I really needing right now? And if you follow your intuition, that beautiful intuition that is going to be much more resourceful than what you thought for the past 7 years, that's where you can really discover a new side of yourself. And just to give you an example, for me, it was the night snacking. So I started to night snack in the HA recovery process. And then in April this year, I had surgery. So before surgery, because of the anesthesia and all of that, they weighed me and I saw my weight on the scale. And I was quite shocked, because it's definitely different than it was a decade ago. And so lo and behold, I had surgery. I was in bed for a few days, and then I went back home, and I knew that I was going to be on my couch, sitting on my couch for more than a month. And then one night, the first night that I came back home, I was in the kitchen and I thought, I want to have a snack. And the second thought was, but you're going to be sitting for the next month. You really don't need a snack. Yeah. And in that moment, I actually said it out loud, and my husband looked at me like, what are you doing? And I said, fuck it, I'm going to have it. And I had to swear, I had to make a statement, and a very loud and clear statement, because I wanted to talk to my brain and to subconscious brain and to the front part of my brain. And I just wanted everyone to have a meeting and to know that I was going to have food because it's delicious, because I thought about it, because I wanted to have it, and because it's the best medicine when you're healing from an injury. And it doesn't matter if you're on holiday, if you're sitting down, if you have a desk job, if you're thinking about food. If food is in the forefront of your mind, it means that somewhere in your life you're restricting it. So the more that you allow yourself to have food, the less you're going to consume by the thoughts of food. And that's what I wanted to happen for me after surgery. And a few months down the track, I recover, still having the night snack. And I don't care. I just enjoy it. I love it. It's just my ritual to finish the day. Coffee is the ritual to start the day, and chocolate is the ritual to finish my day. And I think that that's also another important conversations to have. Like, if food comes to your mind, what do you think about it? Which kind of thought do you have around it, Jade?
Well, I'm finding one, I love that you shared that. So thank you so much. And as you said, I'm like, I feel like there's another podcast in us just sharing those, I'm going to call them relapse thought. They're not an actual relapse, but like when our old self pokes its little head in the, I don't know where I'm going with that, but you know what I mean? Like when our old self shows itself again, you kind of go, oh, hang on.
You're still here.
Yeah, I don't need you anymore. Go away. Because for the most part, because I've continually rehearsed all these thoughts, and my lifestyle is somewhat consistent and predictable, they don't pop up. But, you know, for you, it was having the surgery, your lifestyle changed, the medication was, you know, making your body feel different. So those old thoughts have little cracks that go, oh, I can poke my head in here because you're living differently. You're a little bit vulnerable. Like, how are we gonna navigate this? Yep. And for me, like pregnancy has brought quite a few of those thoughts up for me, because obviously my body's changing in a way that's, you know, you wake up and you feel different and look different nearly every day. And even just going shopping as an example, yesterday actually is a really good one. I noticed that like my legs and my bum have gotten bigger, right? And that first snap reaction was, you know what you got to do? Go tighten up your nutrition, go for a run or do some cut. And I was like, whoa, what are you doing? Like,
where is this coming from?
Your body is doing exactly what it needs to grow a healthy baby. And if that means that your bum and your thighs look a little bit different, like, it's going to be okay. Right. And then the conversation I have with myself is like, we're all in different seasons. And there's a time where training and shape might be a priority, and there's times where caring for your body to the best of your ability is the absolute priority. But that knee-jerk reaction of you've got to fix this kicked in, and I haven't had that in a long time. And yeah, but because I've recognized that that's my old self like peeping through, it was really easy for me to quickly nip it in the bud and just go, we don't think that way anymore. Like if you want to go work out so you feel good and it helps with the pregnancy, go for it. But we're not working out to go change your bum and thighs. We're working out for health, and we're working out to enhance. Yeah. So I think it's important to note that self can pop up from time to time, but some of the healing process is going, I don't have to listen to it.
But that's how
Like
you change the neural
I don't
pathway.
have to. Like, okay, thanks for alerting me that I've got a choice, but I'm not choosing that. That doesn't honor what I stand for anymore. And as you said with the night snacking too, it's like in that moment you had the choice to go, oh, that's right, I'm sitting down the whole time. You don't deserve chocolate. Like that'd be a silly choice. And instead you went, okay, I want the chocolate. I'm going to go do it. And that's where the power comes from. That's where HA recovery, as ladies who are recovered and are in the midst of it will know, that whole tick box of what you need to do is helpful. But in all honesty, it's making peace with your mind. You can't do this process without making peace with your mind or learning how to negotiate with it.
And also making an informed decision every day, choosing what you want your life to look like. Because sometimes we forget that we have the power to choose every single day which kind of life we want to live, which means that we can choose our thoughts and the feelings that are related to our thoughts and the behaviors that comes from the way that we feel and we think. And we have that choice every single day. So if someone gets the first period back and they want to tell themselves, I don't have HA any longer, then they're more than welcome to do so. And
Absolutely.
act as someone that doesn't have HA any longer.
Yeah, I love that. And that power to choose. And I think that's a wonderful place to wrap up the podcast, is that no matter where you are in your recovery, whether you're just starting, kind of in the middle of it, perhaps you just got your first period, you just had your third, you have the power to choose each and every day how you want to see a situation, how you want to act on a situation, how you want to think about a situation, even how you want to feel. And if you know you have that power, you will become unstoppable, because it feels like you are just magic when you realize you can have that power every single day.
Absolutely.
Claudia, it's been a pleasure. I could talk to you for days. Come back soon.
I would love to do a podcast about food thoughts, actually. I think that it's going to be appropriate. I know that we did it in the past, but we should do it again.
It's always evolving. So ladies, stay tuned for that. We will talk about food thoughts. And if you have any questions on the topic or something you'd like us to cover, please send us a DM or an email and we will make sure that we include it in the next podcast. But for now, I'm going to leave all of your details in the show notes. And it's been such a pleasure. Thank you.
Likewise. Bye, Jade.
Bye-bye.